Hi, I'm Rich DeRosa, and that was the tune Drummin Man from the book Sittin' with the Big Band, Volume 1. I'll show you the cover, and I'll put it on the screen here too. So these are some big band charts that I'm doing in a series to show you how to read basic charts. These are not difficult as far as the way they're written. They're very straightforward. This particular tune is written in the style of an old swing band like the Krupa band. And actually, Krupa wrote this tune as well as Tiny Parham. It was arranged by Rich DeRosa, who I was lucky enough to go to college with back in the 80s at Manhattan School of Music. He was doing his master's degree, and I was just a snotty little 17-year-old kid. And he was playing with Jerry Mulligan at the time, and just an amazing musician all around. Great piano player, great drummer. He was playing drums with Jerry Mulligan, but he could have been playing piano. And once again, I was lucky enough to study with him at the school, as well as sit with him when we both played with the big band there. So I got to watch him play, and I even took a couple lessons from him. And I took his improv class, where he played piano and I played vibes, and just like, I can't say enough about the guy, just amazing. And he is the arranger, I think, for the WDR, big band in Europe now, which is one of the greatest big bands in the world. So check him out, and you'll hear his great arrangements. And this is a really nice arrangement that he did. So like I said, it's dedicated to Gene Krupa, or it's written by Gene Krupa, but it's in that style. So I'm trying to keep it pretty simple in my time playing. I could have easily played it on the hi-hat like this, which would have been the thing in that day. Now, I showed you that in my last video that I did, the last basic big band video called Sax to the Max. And so this time I just played it straight on the ride cymbal like this. Now, that old kind of dance band style would have had a heavier bass drum. Again, people were dancing to this music. So you can play it a little bit heavier. You don't want to stomp too hard, but, you know, around here. And when I'm playing that, I'm thinking about a stand-up bass playing. That's how I kind of feel that. So you don't want to wipe that player out by playing it too loud. But back in the day, they didn't use amplifiers, so the bass players could play incredibly loud. They put their action really high and just really dug in. But still, the bass drum was an integral part of the audience or the dancers feeling the beat. So when you're playing this kind of music, this style, for dancers especially, you can play that a little bit louder, but it's not a modern style. And you also see I have this little splash cymbal here. So the arrangement actually calls for it. I'll put it up on the screen here. At bar 39, you have this little lick here. So now there, when I played it for you, I chose not to choke it. I was just accenting it with a rim shot. So I just kind of felt that at the time. But you can easily choke it like that. That would have actually also been in the style. Most all the drummers in those days had little splash cymbals. This is just a little 8-inch Paiste. No big deal there. Okay, and real fast, once again, the cymbals I'm using, I have a 22-inch Paiste traditional. I have an old 1950s K with rivets. I have a Masterworks Chinese, or it's a sizzle cymbal. It's a Swish. You can call it that as well. And I always use this when I play big band. And also just a little Paiste traditional 16-inch thin crash. These are good big band cymbals that I use when I play big band gigs. So, you know, you could use whatever you want. I like cymbals for that will cut through. So this 22-inch Paiste has a nice top end. It also has a good fundamental kind of spread to it. So. And it sounds great when you crash it with the shoulder of the stick. It works really well. My hi-hats are just 13-inch Sabian HH, which I really like. They're very fast. So for this tune, I'm basically playing a lot of 2 and 4. I was lucky enough to play with Lionel Hampton some when I lived in New York. Subbed some on some of those gigs. And Lionel at the time was pretty deaf, so he would turn around and he'd be smiling at the audience, playing the vibes, and then turn around and just scream at the band. You know, and basically the drummer, he wanted the drummer to play like this all the time. And I think it's because he was deaf at that point and could not hear anything, and so he needed to hear that backbeat. So by the end of the gig, my hands would be blistered and sometimes bleeding. So I didn't want to do that too long, but that was a very 2 and 4 thing. But for this kind of 2 and 4, a little lighter, and I'm doing a cross rim or cross stick. Now this snare drum is a Ludwig Supraphonic. It's a great drum for big band. It's wide open. I have an Evans G14 on here, which I like. It's very ringy. It's got a lot of pop to it. It's got a great cross stick sound. So it's great for that. So that is usually the snare drum I will use for big band. Usually, not always. So this chart, the intro, you want to play that pretty strong, no click yet, but then you have a couple solos. And this is a feature for the drums. Obviously, it was written by Gene Krupa, and they would have played it. So this is the kind of thing where you can be you. Play whatever you want, as long as it's in time, and as long as you set up the band. So I try not to emulate anybody when I do my little fills there. That's just me. You can feel free to do, like I said, whatever you want. You can play in any kind of style, heavy, light, fast, slow. I'm not going to tell you how to solo. But the main thing is that it's in time and the band knows where you are. So you can keep your hi-hat going during those, or if you have really good time when you solo, they shouldn't have a problem if they're tapping their foot. All right, but I did play some pretty ambitious fills on that that exhibition or that demo that you heard me play in the beginning there. And that's very soloistic. So when they say save it for your solo, that was what I saved it for. I am using this China cymbal here, this Swish, it's a Swish China, a lot for these kind of pedal tones. So at 67, you see this lick. So that's just a real nasty white noise kind of sound. It just fills up things. So I like to use that sparingly. I'm not using it all the time. Sometimes, as in the last video I did, Sax to the Max, I will play it during sax solo sections. This song just has a trumpet solo, so I'm just sticking to the cymbals and 2 and 4 there. Setting up these figures at 83, not too much there, so 1. So on, then you're into your solo. But you see how I'm setting those up. I'm leaving space. I'm not playing through those. The band needs to know where you are. And then you got your solo coming up, so you can let it all out there. Then at 97, when it says ease into time, you want to kind of come out of that solo. So I'll do 4 bars before 99 now. So you see there, I'm pretty complicated in my solo, but then when it gets to bar 97, I'm easing into it. I'm leveling down there, kind of almost a diminuendo, into 99, which is the last part of the tune. At 107 also, and at 35, you have this little shout section in the tune. So for there, I like to do heavy backbeats and reinforce that with the cymbal. So. That's really important. It sounds so great there, and you've got to have a lot of power there. So don't be afraid to really slam those backbeats there, both spots. And you could do more at 107 than you would have done at 35. All right, so I think that's pretty much it for this tune. It's a good one, and I definitely recommend doing that. And as with all these tunes, you know, there's no right way or wrong way to play them as far as soloing goes. There's definitely a wrong way to play them as far as catching figures and playing bad time and all that. But a lot of people say you've got to play solos like this person, you got to play solos like that person. I'm not one of those people. I don't tell my students to do that. If they want to play more rock kind of choppy fills, I'm all for that, as long as it's in time and it creates excitement. The worst thing is when the solos are boring and they're not exciting and they don't keep the flow of the tune going and build it, you know. And of course, the greatest soloist of all with this kind of thing was Buddy Rich. I used to go see him as much as I could, and whenever there were solos like this, he would just play mind-bogglingly fast, incredible, but musical things, and always set up the band perfectly. So if you want to kind of hear that chops-heavy solo thing, I don't have any kind of chops like he had, but if you want to hear that, then I recommend listening to those records. Swingin' New Big Band is a great one, or any live record, really. Of course, the great Love for Sale, that drum break in there is one of the greatest drum breaks ever. So I would listen to those things. So I hope you enjoy this, and we'll see you next time.